Here at Top 5s, we love anything paranormal, and in the following video, we'll be taking a look at 5 instances where it's believed something supernatural has occurred and been caught on camera. So from ghostly apparitions to chilling encounters with a creepy doll, here are 5 hand-picked hauntings that will freak you out. Stay around for the bonus story at the end of this video. And if you haven't already done so, hit those lights, sit back, and enjoy. The Ghostly Child. A family from Kansas City, Missouri were on vacation when they got a notification from their Nest security camera. When they reviewed the footage, they were horrified to see what looked like an intruder in their home. However, on closer inspection, it appeared to be a translucent child-sized apparition moving along their upstairs landing. If you look close enough, it doesn't appear to be walking, but rather floating, before disappearing into thin air. Take a look at this. Did you also notice a sound that sounds either like a cat or a young child? Take a listen. The family have no idea who or what that was. The house is fairly modern, and they have never experienced any paranormal activity in their home before, and nothing was out of place when they returned home. Like many of these out-of-place hauntings, it's not always the building that holds the spirit, but the ground it is built on. We'd love to try and find out more about this place, and if any of you know where it is, then please let us know in the comments below. Hospital night shift terror. Have you ever wondered what it's like to work a night shift in a hospital? Or better still, have you worked a night shift in a hospital yourself? Well, this next compilation of clips is enough to put you off for life. We have very limited information on where they were captured, but with so much death occurring in hospitals, is it any wonder that in the darkness of the night, fallen spirits revisit the place of their demise? Check this out. Pretty creepy. We'd love to hear from any hospital workers if they've experienced anything strange whilst working. We once talked with an intensive care unit worker, and they told us that they open a window after a patient has died to allow their spirit to be released out of the hospital. It's interesting because how many people do not do that, and potentially trap countless souls and energy within the hospital walls. Pretty creepy. Jeffrey. In 2022, Jacob inherited his grandmother's house after she passed away, but from the start, the old house gave off some creepy vibes, and Jacob got the feeling that something in the house was not happy about him being around. Jacob documented his exploration of the house on TikTok under the username TheClownDoll5. The first video he uploads shows him walking around the dark old building with eerie music playing in the background. Jacob continues documenting his exploration, showing what he plans to do with the house, and showing some of the stuff left behind. That's when he introduces Jeffrey, a creepy jester doll his grandmother left behind. Things start getting weirder after Jeffrey is introduced, and it seems in this video, Jacob has moved the doll into his bedroom.
I just heard knocking from the closet.
Take a look again. Did you notice Jeffrey has moved his head? Jacob starts to think that maybe Jeffrey is the reason for the strange goings on, and is convinced he is moving on his own. After becoming increasingly unnerved, Jacob moves Jeffrey from his bedroom into an empty room on his own. After more sleepless nights, Jacob decides to move Jeffrey to the basement and sets up a camera to see if he can catch him moving. After a few nights, he supposedly captures this. Jacob documents a few more incidents, mostly electrical disturbance, but he seems to be getting more and more paranoid about Jeffrey and the creepiness of the house. The last video he uploaded was on the 31st of May 2023, when he explained he was having some legal issues with the house, but thought he had captured something else in the basement. Take a look. Nothing has been posted since. Now it could be that Jacob lost the house in a legal dispute, or it could be that Jeffrey drove him out. We simply do not know. Of course it could all be fake, but it's still pretty creepy regardless. Scary truck stop. Danny Ramirez, a long-distance truck driver, pulled over for the night at a rest stop along Highway 97 in Oregon. However, it was hard for him to settle in for a sleep after this happened.
Started to hear stuff out here. I'm over here on 97 on the rest stop. And, I don't know. What the hell is that? Starting to regret that I stopped at this rest stop.
Danny is clearly startled by the sounds and has no idea what it is. It's worth pointing out, Danny does not normally post this type of content, which makes us believe this is genuine. As you can hear in the clip, Danny believes he has captured the sounds of a Bigfoot, and considering he is in Oregon, which is known for its Bigfoot sightings, he could be right. In the comments, others have said that they too have heard strange sounds in the same area. So what exactly was that sound? Some unidentified creature, just the normal sounds of the forest? Or was that the call of the elusive Bigfoot? A scary night at Dalhousie Castle. Dating back to the 13th century, Dalhousie Castle in Scotland is regarded as one of Edinburgh's most haunted places. It has many resident ghost sightings, including Sir Alexander Ramsay, a Scottish nobleman and knight who fought in the Second War of Scottish Independence. Ramsay was later attacked and imprisoned at Hermitage Castle, where he died of starvation in 1342. His ghost has been seen roaming the halls and grounds of the castle ever since. Another prominent ghost is that of Lady Catherine, known as the Grey Lady. Lady Catherine was only 16 when she died of starvation and a broken heart after banishing herself to the castle tower in 1695 after falling in love with a stable hand. Since her death, she has been spotted stalking the corridors, and her grey dress is often mistaken for staff. It's only when she disappears through doors that people realise who she is. The following photograph was taken at a wedding at the castle, and it allegedly shows her spectre. Now of course this could just be a camera glitch. However, given the history at the castle, it's easy to think that it could be paranormal in origin. Unfortunately, despite research, we can find very little information about this wedding, such as if anything strange happened during the day, or any of the guests witnessed ghosts. Today the castle is a luxury hotel and spa, but retains many of its original features, and the dungeon where prisoners were once thrown into has been repurposed into a high-end restaurant. Paranormal skeptic Helen Parker, a reporter from Australia, visited the castle and decided to spend the night alone in the dungeon to prove that all the ghost hype was just that. However, mock the spirits at your peril, because take a look at what happened.
Maybe there is no such thing as ghosts whatsoever. Anyway, I'm prepared to wait. Catherine! Oh, Catherine!
The chair next to me is about to start thumping on its own. You'll be able to clearly hear it.
It's creeping me out now. Okay, I get it. I'm going. Okay, Catherine, I get it.
Then something moves in the dungeon, but I'm not staying to find out what it is.
I'm freaking going.
Helen appeared truly terrified, and it's worth pointing out that she is not normally a ghost reporter. She is a serious journalist and screenwriter based in Canada. We'd love to know if any of you have ever stayed at Dalhousie Castle, and whether you experienced anything like Helen did. Now let's finish on a little bonus. As many of you will be aware, we run a Too Close to Home video series, where we search for horror stories, UFO sightings, haunted buildings, and any and all things creepy within a small radius of our viewers' hometowns. While instead of doing specific videos on Too Close to Homes, we're going to be adding bonus entries to the end of every video. Today we'll be taking a trip to Joliet, Illinois, which is a city in the US state of Illinois that sits 35 miles southwest of Chicago, which is the hometown of our much valued Patreon, Lewis. But before we dive in, cue the Too Close to Home intro. Joliet, Illinois, earned the nickname City of Stone due to the quarrying of limestone. With its unique bluish-white tinge, and lucky for our patron Lewis, it is ranked as one of the top 10 safest cities in the US. That is, of course, if you do not include the ghosts. Let's take a trip to the old Joliet prison. In 1858, the Illinois State Penitentiary first opened its doors to inmates in the city of Joliet. It first welcomed just 53 prisoners, who were used to begin building other parts of the prison. 20 years later, it was home to over 2,000 inmates. The prison had not been constructed to hold this many people, and it wasn't long before conditions within its walls began to deteriorate, and it became an unsafe and unclean institute. By 1905, there were talks about what the future held for the building, and 2 years later, construction began on a new Illinois State Penitentiary, which boasted of containing the most advanced and forward-looking construction ideas developed in prison work in the US or any European country. Claims said the inmates in the new establishment resided in clean and safe rooms that were cheerful, wholesome, and not coldly institutional. It was also bragged that these inmates had privacy and safety from their peers. Despite old Joliet prison becoming aged, unsafe, and old-fashioned, it continued to operate until 2002. In the years between its opening and closure, it housed all sorts of infamous criminals, including Babyface Nelson, a notorious gangster, as well as John Wayne Gacy and James Earl Ray. The building also served as a filming location for several films and TV hits, including Prison Break, Bones, and the 1980 film The Blues Brothers. Since its closure, the prison has become a popular tourist attraction, and it is known as one of the most haunted prisons in the US. Perhaps the biggest ghost tale to come from old Joliet prison is that of the singing ghost, which dates back to 1932. In the summer of that year, both prisoners and town residents began hearing eerie, phantom singing coming from the nearby convict cemetery. It became such a bizarre phenomenon that even the local press picked up on the story and began reporting on it. Every night for 4 weeks, the ghostly vocals were heard, reportedly resembling foreign language church hymns. The non-supernatural explanation for this event at the time was that a prisoner was responsible for the strange singing. The inmate worked in the nearby quarry, singing to and from his job, and it was believed that his voice travelled through the area, creating a creepy, echoey effect, However, keen paranormal investigators had spent many nights searching for the source of the singing, exploring the old quarry, and never came across any prisoners. Furthermore, prisoners couldn't simply go to and from the quarry by themselves. It was then speculated that the police came up with this story to stop residents from being fearful and to break up the large crowds that gathered to witness the unexplained occurrence. The singing ghost, though, isn't the only one who haunts Old Joliet Prison. Another ghost story from the site dates back to the 19th century. During the 1860s, a Joliet man was walking home through the prison cemetery when he saw an inmate in prison stripes digging a grave. He found this most unusual because the inmate was alone. There was no other prisoners or a guard present at the time. The witness went over to the prison to report the inmate, but it was discovered that nobody was missing. Eerily still, nobody had died, so if the inmate was real and was digging a grave, nobody knew why. The following day, the Joliet man returned to the cemetery, but there were no fresh graves. Pretty creepy. Old Joliet Prison has often been the subject of rumour. There was another story in the 19th century about two men passing by the cemetery who claimed to have seen a ghost sitting on a grave marker. Then, when George Chase, a horse thief, was executed at the prison, tales began being told that his headless body could be seen wandering around the burial grounds as he searched for his head. In other versions of the story, it was his head that was seen, bodiless, floating around the area. Today, disembodied voices are supposedly commonly heard throughout the prison, including unsettling crying and wailing noises, and wolf whistling has been known to come from empty jail cells. Those who have toured the building have also noticed sudden and oppressive feelings, malfunctioning electronics, and shadowy figures featured in their photographs. Lewis, we'd love to know if you've ever been. Lastly, we'll take a look at Frank Shaver Allen House, which is said to be one of the many haunted houses in Joliet. Located at 608 Morgan Street, the house was built by its namesake architect, Frank Shaver. When the house was renovated and redecorated in the 1990s, it triggered a wave of supernatural occurrences, and it became popular with ghost hunters after the family residing in the home started experiencing poltergeist activity. They heard unexplained voices, and small fires started in the house that extinguished themselves without causing damage. The ghost of Frank Allen also made his presence felt, as well as a woman who died in the house. It is thought she was a nanny, and the children she looked after in life have returned to her in death. Psychics who have visited the home claim a variety of ghosts haunt the building, and a young boy who used to live in the house was plagued by frequent visits from the former nanny and the children who wanted the boy to be their playmate. Lewis, we'd love to know if you have any stories about the house, and if you'd be willing to take a trip there if you haven't already done so. So that's it for this video. We hope you enjoyed, and remember everybody, if you'd like us to dig up stories from your hometown, head over to Patreon for more information. Thanks for watching. You can now turn back on the lights, and we'll see you soon for another video.